welcome to our second webinar about the connection between Power BI and CELUS. Okay, so last week we were talking about the basics of Power BI and CELUS, and we had Jeremy from University of Maine and our own Kamcha. Today it will be the advanced stuff. So more of SQL and more difficult things that you can do in Power BI. And we will again have our brilliant Kamcha and also Will Peaden from the University of Coventry. Okay, I think that's all from me. And I will give the word to Kamcha.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to have an advanced session about the connection between CELUS Data Hub and Power BI. I will start to share my screen. I hope you can see now CELUS Data Hub, and I will start right here and I will connect via these buttons to ClickHouse web interface. This is a convenient interface to interact with the tables that are stored in CELUS Data Hub. Today, I would like to use title tags, so I will start there. And to have a better overview, what title classes I have there, I will want to explore this table more. So this is just a basic overview, but I would like to explore what tag class names, tag classes I have there. So I will put it there, and I want only the distinct values. And now I see that I have 8 tag classes, and I will use one of them, and that is Scopus. I want to build a very simple query to test it here in ClickHouse web interface, which is why I will open another window with ClickHouse interface. I could do it another way, but in this way I'm already logged in and have my password here, and I can click to any table, which is advantageous, and I will use it now. So here I have the tag table, and now I want to use, I have here all tag class names, and now I want to filter to only tag class names Scopus, which I will copy from here. And I always make some syntax mistakes, but hopefully it runs all right. Okay. And I would like to explore my data a little bit before using them. Therefore, I want to sort them. Title ID. In ascending order. And now I have made a mistake in syntax, and ClickHouse interface is telling me that it doesn't understand line 4, which is here. I always confuse sort by and order by, and I hope this works better. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I have only the Scopus class name here, and I have the titles sorted as I wanted them. And one thing which I observe and which I will have to respect is that for one title ID, which is a unique identifier of my titles, I have more than one tag, which will influence my results later. But it's fine for now. I will proceed to Power BI. And I will try to build a visual from scratch, a model. I will get data from another source. And today, I will firstly use not the native ClickHouse connection, but ODBC connection, which is another possibility how to get your data into Power BI. Its advantage is that it gives more possibilities. Now I choose Unicode, which is more universal, but here this is the main advantage. I copy my connection string, which is a combination of this variable, and this variable, but it's already connected in the proper syntax. So I can only copy and paste it here. And here is the main advantage that I already can query the data, and I have the query ready, test it. I know it's working, so I can use it there. And if I click OK, I get a preview with the same data as here. There is one more possibility. I can download here the query in CSV, TSV, Markdown, whatever. But now I don't need it and I will not use it. I will use this connection and get to Power Query Editor by transforming the data. So here I have the query. I will rename it to Scopus tag. And I have more columns than I need. I will reduce some of them. But it's important that I retain title ID because I will use it as connector, tag name, and tag class name. I basically don't need, but I can leave it there. So this table is fine. It's prepared, and I will get the usage data. I will use the native connection and copy the connection information from Data Hub to be quick. Database. And I will leave import for now. Now I get the choice of the table in the ClickHouse native interface. I choose title report merged because I don't have to worry then about if my data is counter 5 or counter 5.1. The table is merged wherever I have counter 5.1 available, it's there. If not, counter 5 data is filled in. So I will get it there in Power Query Editor. Here I have all my TR merged, which is quite a lot of data. And to make it faster, I will reduce the columns. I'll retain metric, platform name. I definitely need title ID. I want to retain title name even if I don't need it right now, but maybe it can be used later. EOP as year of publication is interesting. Definitely value. This is which is my usage, and date I need. Okay. I have somewhat reduced data. I will shift value to the end to be better able to group by. I will group by all of these columns except value, because value I want to sum up. Okay. And when I was testing this is still quite a lot of data, some 5 million rows, which is okay for CELUS, okay for ClickHouse, but it takes time to load it into Power BI. It's best to reduce the data some more. I will want to work with unique item requests only, and that's why I'm reducing the rows as well. So I have the data ready. I can close and apply, and the data gets loaded into Power BI, and it's only some million of rows, so we don't have to wait that long, but still it takes some time, and it's really advantageous to be cautious about the volume of the data, because then it takes time and it also makes the file bigger. So it's good to reduce the data as much as possible and to think ahead what is really needed and what can be left out. It is also always possible to get back by clicking on transform data and clicking on getting some more columns or some more data into the model. It's not fixed forever. So, still running, still loading. I'm glad I reduced the data more than before, and now it's loaded. I have these two queries here independent. As of now, they are not connected, and to build a visual for a combination of these two tables, I have to connect them. I have to go to model view and connect the tables. I will use the identifier title ID, which I will drag and drop here, and it will create a relationship. And now I have a warning here that it's a kind of relationship many to many. This is usually not such a good relation, but I know that I had more than one subject for one title, so I knew this is going to happen, and I'm okay with that. So I will work with this as it is, and I know it works fine. And now I will try to build a visual. This time it will be 100% stacked column chart. I will definitely use the value, and I will use the year of publication at the x-axis, and I will use the Scopus tags as legend. And now it's not pretty. I have the x-axis too wide. I have to limit the year of publication to a reasonable extent. And I would also like to see the whole legend. So I will change it like this. And what I would like to do is to put some slicers here. I would like to slice by platform, and which is really interesting is EBSCO, offering many subjects, and I would like one more slicer, and this will be for the subjects. And I would like to have it as tiles. So this is good for now. I have a lot of subjects here. I would like to limit that to, let's say, top 7 according to volume. And I can already see some patterns in how the subjects are actually used. For business, management, and economics, they are used quite a lot into the past years of publication, but for social sciences, nursing, or medicine, the more recent publications are used. I can also filter here. This is only one, but I can have more of them only. I need to click on more to have them in the chart. So this can be done by tags. They can be used in many other ways. As usually, it is good to save the work. And it is, of course, possible to publish it into the Power BI service, which also takes some time depending on the volume of the data, which is another reason to reduce the data as much as possible. But on the other hand, if you want to have titles there and if you want to have year of publication, that creates quite a lot of data already. So still publishing. And it's published. I can click into it right away. It starts the service. I can display all of it and it's still interactive. This data is a bit scattered, but I can also have all of them and choose them like this. So still interactive. This is one model, and another example of advanced use of CELUS Data Hub is another model which I have already prepared. It would be relatively long to build it live, but it's an interesting application of calculations in Power BI. This is actually it was originally a question by one of our users, how to do a year-to-year comparison of data, which was a really interesting question. I had to explore how to do it, and it can be nicely done by calculations in Power BI. It's done by measures which can calculate another column. It's not visible as another column of the table, but it's calculated on demand and it can be used in the visuals. Like here, I have the display not only of the usage in the quarters, but also by I can display change of the usage compared to the same period last year. If I'm interested in more detail, I can split it to month, or I can reduce the granularity to years. If I'm interested in one particular period or year, I can click on this drill down mode and explore 2025 and fourth quarter, anything I would like to. Of course, I can then publish it in Power BI service, and my colleagues can review the data as well. So this is all from me for today. I will hand over to Will and stop sharing my screen. Well, it's all yours.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I would like to thank CELUS for inviting me to talk. I'm going to share some of the things that, some of the problems I had, and then what I've done to sort of fix these with CELUS. And I won't give you too much of a detail about where I'm from, but basically, large teaching university in England, and my team is one of its responsibilities is e-resources management. So this is the sort of data that we're very interested in exploiting. So I'm just going to share my screen, and hopefully that's shared. And I'm going to show this. So before we used CELUS, we used a service in the UK called JUSP that enables you to build reports. Is that sharing? No, it hasn't shared yet. There we go.
Not yet.
There we go. Yeah. It enables you to build reports.
Now, yeah.
And we would download effectively the tabular reports and build a Power BI model using the tabular reports. But let's say these are TRB1s, these are TRJ1s, these are the TRJ4s. There's a lot of them. And then we combine the queries into using Power Query to effectively create the dimensions we want to use to build the reports. The only problem with this is obviously it's time limited. In order to get new data, you need to have to download the new data reports on a monthly basis and append those queries on, which I was doing. This is an older version of the report. So I was downloading for every single one of these services, the next J1, J4 report, the next J3 report, and so forth, popping them into a folder and then having Power Query append the data onto what was in there. And this is actually, my computer at the moment is struggling because it's a huge amount of data that's sitting in there, and Power BI is compute hungry. So the CELUS report, there we go. So I was building this dashboard. This is the old version up to 2005, and I've been building the new one since the beginning of the end of last year. So I will now get rid of that because it is actually eating up my computer power, and instead show the same report but in Power BI, and this is using the CELUS data, and it's using 5.1, so we've only got 2 years worth of data plus a little bit of EBSCO. And as you can see, this is much nicer. It doesn't take up the same amount of compute power. I can refresh this at any point, and it will then pull in the next month's data. So this morning, I actually refreshed it to bring in February's data. At that point, it still had January's data. I haven't had downloaded anything. It took a couple of seconds to do that. This is what I will call my strategic report, which we are currently using, and we can look at usage patterns over time. And these things are connected by relationships, which were being talked about, what Cam was talking about a moment ago. So I will do a little bit of this, but what I will show you, instead of going too much into the weeds of this report, just to give you a sense of the sorts of things that can be done, I will now demonstrate how I got this data through SQL in a similar way to Cam, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to do a blank report. Incidentally, the ClickHouse, what was it called? This thing. This is brilliant. If you've ever got SQL and you want to test your SQL, test it in here first, because it will throw up all the errors as was shown. So I'm going to get some data, and I have pre-prepared a query so that we can drop this in. And what this is going to do, it's similar to what Cam was doing. Instead of filtering from the ClickHouse, I'm going to actually filter using SQL and only bring in these values from this table where these things are true. So it's journal, and that there are only these 3 metrics I want. So I don't want all the metrics coming in for the journal. And then it's going to order by year of publication. You can order it by whatever you like, really. But it's sometimes useful. I find it useful to look at it by year of publication. So I'll just pull that off the screen for a moment. As it was demonstrated, get the data from here. Unfortunately, you have to always type in here. So there's the query. I'm going to connect. I've set up this as this thing. There's a nice walkthrough about how to set up your connector, but I won't do that right now. And I will just, in fact, drop this query into here, and it should bring the preview in as it does. So we've got our data here. So I'm not going to bother transforming it. I'm just going to load it into the service. And then similarly, we'll bring in a lot of data, but this is considerably reduced amount of data compared with what would be brought in if you just said bring everything from the ClickHouse. And it's confined to the fields that I want to use in my queries. While that's loading, what we will do as well is to build relationships. We will build some dimensions tables, so those are called dimensions tables. And the easiest way to do that is to do what we were doing there with the select distinct. So what this will do is it will select every value that is distinct within that table and populate as a table. And the reason that's helpful is when you start having more than one fact table. So if this is coming in here, this is going to be my facts. So this is the journal usage. In the previous report, I've got both journals separated from books, because sometimes I want to look at books, sometimes I look at journals, and sometimes I want to compare the two. The journals and the books are, if you like, my facts tables, and these are my filter tables, so that I can cross-filter these without any difficulty. So I'm just waiting for this to still this is 1 million lines. So that's come in. I can just rename that to journal usage. Then I'll do another one of these get data things. I will ODBC, get the connector, and I'll drop one of these in. So we'll do select metric short time being. So I'll drop that in there. And then you can see that's coming in. What I'll do here is I will transform the data, because I'll just rename that here to metric short name. And I'm going to make sure just so that it's all nice and the extra one in there. What you can do with this is you can copy it and paste it. And then rather than having to go and do the select distinct over and over and over again, what you can instead do is I could just now drop in a different table name and just change that from that and press return, and it will then pull in all the ISBNs. So that's just a quick shorthand way once you've got these queries in here. Another way of changing these, if you do any changes to this, and you say if you add an index column or whatever you might do, if ever you want to change your query, you can actually click on the source, and then you can change the SQL query back here. So if, for example, I'm missing a metric that I want to add in here, I can just add that back in by typing it into here and just adding, and it will pull it back in. So this is kind of how I build these reports. And then what's good about that is if I now close and apply and save that, we'll pull these things in. And it's already picked up that this is connected to the metric short name here, and if I title in ISBN, so that's already picked that up. When I bring my second fact table, what I can then do is I can then link that second fact table to this dimensions table, and then I can cross-filter my reports. So I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. If I minimize that down. So if I go to the data model down here, this might look a bit complicated, but in essence, we've got the books data and the journals data, and those are coming in by 2 SQL queries. And then you've got each of the various things you might want to filter by linked in a one-to-one relationship to these. Now, the one thing that that CELUS have developed that I haven't dealt with since they developed it is that there's a YOP by number. So this YOP is actually a CSV file with the years of publication from about 1500 to 2099. That was to enable this to actually work, but now to make these particular visuals work, but you can pull it in now directly through the SQL. I think I haven't tested it, so hence this model's still slightly out of date. The other one that doesn't work is publisher. Even when you select distinct, it still pulls down duplicates. I haven't figured out why it pulls down duplicates. So the way that this works is if I go to the editor and I look at the source of this, it's linking to my OneDrive, and I've basically got a publisher file that's got all the publishers deduplicated. Not sure why it doesn't work, but there's sometimes they don't work, and the reason that that's important is when you've got if it ends up being a many-to-many relationship, you can't then link that to more than one fact table. It causes ambiguity in the model, and Power BI will deactivate one of the paths. So if you've got this one linked, this path will be deactivated. And so yes, so if I go back to this, what's quite nice about the way this is set up. So I've got my thing filtered to unique item requests. I'm looking at what are being used and what year of publication. I might want to look at Cambridge, and then you might want to look at the comparisons. So that was everything that was used in 2025. That's everything that's been used in 2026. And most of these you can show as a table. And so if you want to look at unique item requests from that year of publication, you can pull that report out quite happily, and you can then export that data file, and you could then use it elsewhere in Excel or something like that. And it gives you all the metrics down the side here, it's very nice. And you can do that pretty much in any Power BI visual if you have a data point you're interested in exploring. Similarly, for the books, you can see the bigger spread of year of publications for books, which is good. And these are different across the different platforms. Progress Central being one of our biggest ones. So this is again, you can then start drilling down into what year publications, and then you can drill down because it's a title report. I can then see what titles are being used as well, and export that as a data point. Another way of visualizing this is with the titles. So I quite like this. No, sorry, I'm going to do the journals one. So this one is looking at the different journals we use. And let's say I'm interested in the current year of usage. I want to look at the most popular journals. If I click on the Lancet, we're seeing some front-end usage here, but we're actually seeing quite a bit of usage over the background. Journal of Clean to Production, more steady usage. And we've got here the tags. So if I'm interested in a subject, I might be interested in that one, and then I can go, oh, I'm interested in International Journal of Production Economics, and I can look at the patterns of where people are getting the usage from in these journals. The reason that we want the cross-filtering in this report, for example, if I'm interested in Science Direct, I can click on Science Direct, and then I can see Science Direct here, and it's cross-filtered to Science Direct. I can click on Progress Ebook Central, and obviously there's no ebook Central in the journals report. Similarly for Trove, but for my Wiley, I can check my Wiley and see the comparison between these two platforms, the same platform, sorry, but they're the different types of content within it. So, how much time have I got? It's not doing too badly. Another little report I'm interested in is looking at the read and publish deals. So we obviously get read and publish deals. I want to see how they're doing in terms of usage over time. So here I have the titles of the read and publish deal and then the usage. This is for Wiley. And the way this has been built is slightly complicated. So I have the data coming in from Wiley. And this one is a similar report, a similar journals report, but I've added an additional filter of the platform being Wiley. I've then taken the portfolio, so we have Alma as our library management system. I've pulled out the portfolio data for that particular read and publish deal, the current deal that we're on. And I have connected it via an ISSN index, which I will briefly demonstrate. Briefly demonstrate it if I've got time. Have I got time, Cam? Yeah. Okay. So if I just go back to here and so this one, I'm going to get data from a folder, and I'm going to connect to that folder, and I'm going to choose a file path, and it will be in here. And the reason I'm doing it as a folder is because sometimes there are more than one file. So for example, the TNF read and publish deal, there's 3 files. So I'd load and combine. I'm just going to combine and load that. And Power BI does a thing where it pushes this through. So I say I'm looking for this. Hopefully that's going to load in as we speak. Yeah, so it's actually pulled in. It's actually doing a whole bunch of work in the background. So it's loaded in 1,000 lines of data. These are the titles in our read and publish deal. I don't need all of that data. I'm going to have to transform it at some point. I'm then going to try to see if I can do this. Oh, it's not. No, didn't want to do that. So I'm going to cancel that. I was hoping it would still be here from my test earlier on, but it's not by the looks of things. It might be that one. No, it's not. So sorry about that. That's the peril of live demos. So I'm going to put this into. I'm going to do the get data on the service here. D, not OB. Connect to the dataset and pop this in here, and this might not work. Let's go back to here. There it is. And I'll pop that in there. And this should, in theory, then just pull in Wiley, which it does. So I'll load that in. And then in this case, I need to transform the data in the editor, and I'm going to create an index table from the ISSNs that are here. So what I'll do is I will reference this, remove most of the stuff I don't need, which is most of this. Oh, I'm going to add an index column in. So I'm going to add a column. Let's put the index column in. I'm going to unpivot the other columns. And now I've got a list of ISSNs that link. I will then close the transform, and then what we should be able to do is then build, that should be able to build it, and it hasn't. So for some reason, it hasn't found that. Okay, but it does work because I have it in. I just showed you the model. This is the model here. If I just go and look at the transformations, you can see it's got the ISSN index, which is from this with the removed columns and then unpivoted, and this is from the counter with the index column added. And what's nice about this is if you want to then do that for something different, you can click on here. So you I'll just go back a step, bring this back up. So I've got here a copy of that thing. I'm not going to open it because my computer's already gone very hot. You can simply change this to say Sage, and you can change this source to pick a different target, and then you've already got your Sage version of your report, which means you don't have to rebuild this report view at all. The last thing I will say is once you've built reports, you can publish them into the service. They appear up here, and if you have a dashboard, I've just done this as a test today, but you can pin any visuals from any one of your reports into a dashboard like this. So if you've got your strategic things and you want to take a dash, you can get your report. You can say to this, "Oh, I'd like to have." Let's have a look. You'd like to have the percentage values. You then just click pin, add it to your dashboard, and then when you go back to your dashboard, you've got another one there. This is not interactive, but it's a top level picture of what's going on in your service. And for somebody like a library director who might be interested in what's going on for book usage over the past couple of years, he can then pick on this and have a look and see without you having to then run some complicated report to tell him or her. I think I've probably just about run out of time there, so I will stop sharing. I almost got through all the stuff I was going to say. And I think we've got time for questions.
Okay, thank you, Will. I think people are just so stunned with all your Power BI magic that they are not even asking questions. There is one though from Delia. Only title list with cost or platform cost too. Is it possible to merge data with platform cost?
Yes, is the answer. The read and publish one that I've got there, the only other thing that hasn't been added in, and I didn't want to add it in because of the sensitivities around how much we pay for our deals. Yes, if you put in your finance data from wherever your live management system is, you can then do some calculated costs based on and use those calculated columns that Cam was showing about where you say here's your usage, here's the amount you spent, and divide by the two things, depending on which metrics you decide to use to calculate your cost per use. So we normally use unique item, but you could use total item.
Okay, thank you. Delia, please let us know if it's sufficient for you. Delia says thanks, so I guess that means yes. We have another question here. Thank you for the demo, Kamila. Question about the merged tables. Since Counter 5 is used as a fallback across all months and years, will it take longer to load and process the data because it compares all period values? Also, without the defined timeline, it seems difficult to spot clear shifts in the trend based on counter version changes. Will there be a way to customize the timeline for counter versions in the merged tables?
The first first question, no. The merged tables are done in ClickHouse, so they don't live in CELUS. They live in CELUS as separate data, but in ClickHouse they are the tables, the data in Counter 5 and Counter 5.1 are combined, joined, and then you load just the joined table into Power BI. So I don't think it takes longer. It doesn't mean it's more data. It's just data sorted for me. And also without a different timeline. That is one thing that I didn't do, that I didn't slice the data according to year of usage, but that would be a question of another slicer and just or a filter and picking the timeline that you want to sort out or choose. And you in the merged tables you can even see for each row which is the source of the table. So you can sort out if it's counter 5 or counter 5.1 data. So you have many options. You just have to leave it there. As Abhijit is very experienced user, you have just leave it there for in the transformation process, and then you can use it as you wish. I think that's all to this question.
Okay. Thank you, Kamcha. Abhijit says thanks as well. Okay, no more questions. So I will let you guys go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Also,
Thank you.
Bye.
bye.